Welcome to the Surgery and Therapy Summit and my interview with Caroline Wyly from Twine. Caroline is a LinkedIn specialist as well as a B2B specialist, but she's going to tell us a whole lot more about that. But welcome, Caroline, and thank you so much for joining us at the summit.
Yeah, thanks, Robyn. I'm really excited to be part of it. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
So we're looking forward to knowing all about you. Do you want to just give us a little bit of an overview about your career to date and what has led you to the point where you are the director of Twine and you do what you love to do?
Sure. So I've got my experience is very much in sales and business development, over 30 years in that industry, but very much business to business. So I was selling in the corporate space to corporates and medium-sized enterprises, predominantly in the IT area. I had a lot of experience in IT and software where I would sell to these big corporates. And about 5 years ago, I started working for a consulting firm who did business intelligence work, and they asked me to come and do business development for them. And I started there, and it was a bunch of CAs with respect to any CAs in the audience. And as I walked in the door, they said to me, "So Caroline, how's your pipeline looking?" And I said, "You must be joking. I've just started here. I don't have a pipeline. I haven't started yet." Back in the old days, what we used to do, giving my age away, but when we wanted to open doors and find businesses before the internet, we would go and look in the yellow pages or look in the newspapers and read up and do our research about the businesses that we wanted to target. Luckily, when I started with this consulting firm, there was LinkedIn and the internet. So I thought, well, let me try LinkedIn and give it a go and see what I can do and what opportunities I can get using the platform. And it was the obvious platform because it's very much business to business. So LinkedIn happened to just be that enabler that helped me to open the doors at the time. And it was hugely successful 5 years ago. I literally got us into all the big insurance companies, all the financial services industries, and it worked brilliantly. And then I had a friend who's got a very successful business here in KZN. And she was going to one of those conference in Vegas. And she said to me, "Caroline, can you help? I'm going to this conference. And when I get there, I don't want to just be walking the corridors and picking up brochures as you do when you often go to conferences. I want to land there and have some really good solid meetings with targeted individuals in targeted businesses that I want to meet. And can you help?" So I said, sure. And I did that for her, and it worked really, really well. So she landed in Vegas, and she had 6 or 7 good quality meetings because I was able to filter and find these people in the relevant industries that she wanted to talk to and meet with. And it opened up those doors. So it worked beautifully. I then realized that we were all living in a virtual world, albeit globally. We were able to connect with anybody around the world leveraging LinkedIn. But there also was a need to create an online persona and an online individual brand for people and executives. So when I started this opening of doors and networking for people virtually, I realized there was also this gap to create these online personas. And often people are so busy working in their businesses that they don't have the opportunity to work on their businesses or on their online brand or persona. So I also got into that business where I've helped executives and C-suite business owners create this great identity or this online persona, but very much authentically about who they are. So I'm very much about authenticity and keeping it real and keeping it human, especially in this world that we're in. So I also create these great online brands, which are representative of the people whose profiles I look after and manage. And I also saw the opportunity or the gap in terms of sales and marketing. So often what happens is you have 2 different teams or 2 different individuals in companies. You have your sales team and then you have your marketing team. And often what happens is that marketing will go out there and market or put a strategy in place or have an online campaign going. And what they're delivering via that campaign isn't necessarily what the salespeople need, because they're very close to the ground and can see what's needed out there in the world. And the two often don't talk. So you have a sales team and you have a marketing team. And I realized that LinkedIn happened to be that great tool or enabler to marry the two and be the olive branch between sales and marketing. So I also use the LinkedIn platform to leverage sales and marketing teams and bring them together and create this great content and get a content strategy going, so that we always bring it back to the sales team and help them and get great leads for them, and develop the business at the end of the day. So I'm always about growing the business and how we do that in the best way possible. And LinkedIn happened to be that platform. So that's the long and short story of how my brand and my company has grown.
Wow, it is pure genius. And I do love how sometimes we fall into our new careers and our businesses. But I believe that you're right, because I think in the old days, we also had a bad connotation about salespeople in terms of what their role was. But really, sales is a life skill. And we have no business unless we're able to market ourselves, put ourselves forward as brand ambassadors, and having that presence on social media. But it's very difficult, as you say, to be a business owner and to do everything and to do it well, because there's some key aspects I feel about social media, and I know where I fall short. And one of the big areas where I fall short is consistency. The only way I have consistency is if I pay somebody to do that role for me. What are your thoughts on where you see people falling short?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you are busy day to day working in your business or doing whatever you specialize in. And you will never have the opportunity or the time, I don't believe, to be managing the marketing or sales component of your business in its entirety. And that's where specialists like myself or anybody else who is in my line of work come into play, where we can really focus and hone in on growing the business while you deliver whatever the services are that you deliver and whatever it is that you do as a business owner or an entrepreneur. So the consistency is absolutely key. I also think it's really important to make sure that your strategies are aligned in terms of your message to market, but also being very, very clear and very understanding of what it is that the industry needs, or what it is that your consumers need, or your clients, or whatever it is. Really understanding what that is and getting under the skin of what those needs and pains are in the market. So I'm very much about understanding what a company's value proposition is, but that value proposition has to be the pain reliever for the needs and the pains of your industry or of the business that you're trying to talk to or target. So I'm very much about the customer journey and understanding what that is and what the customer experience looks like before we define what the value proposition is. So that's very much what I'm about as well. So when we talk about the content strategy, it's talking about what it is that we need to say, or what the message is to the market that talks to those needs and pains. So yeah, you can see where the marketing and sales come together in terms of delivering a strategy and a message to market that talks to those needs.
But also, when you look at a profile like LinkedIn, there's two avenues to it. So the first is the content and what you're putting out there, and the way that your profile speaks to your audience. But the second avenue is the connecting with individuals and using tools to do that. Because it's incredible what tools are available to us to be able to find those individuals. What tools do you use in your business?
It's a very good question, and I think it's very relevant right now. There are lots of tools out there. There are lots of bots that perform or replicate what the user experience would be if you were out there searching and finding people off your LinkedIn platform and connecting with them. what I've seen, because I sit behind the scenes, so I basically am the avatar for a lot of people where I manage their own personal LinkedIn profiles. What I've seen is that the market is saturated and very infiltrated with these bots. So those decision makers and those high level people that one is typically trying to talk to and engage with in businesses are getting inundated with messages and connection requests and sponsored messages and all that sort of thing because of these bots. So I've almost taken it back to the basics and back to the beginning. And I bring in that human element where when I am connecting my clients with the right market that they want to be speaking to, it's all about that human personal experience. So I'm not a bot. And I often, when I do bring agencies on board who deliver the digital services where they leverage bots, I always say it's man versus the machine, and let's almost have a champion challenge. And 9 times out of 10, I win. So we will literally say, okay, how many leads? And when I talk leads, that's another whole conversation, because you can get a lead, but is it quality, and how do you get a quality lead? Yeah. And often what these online digital bots will do is they deliver leads, and I say leads in inverted commas, but it's really just people who've shown an interest or downloaded a white paper or whatever the case may be. But for me, a lead is something very warm. It's something where there's been a warm engagement with that individual. And when I open that door, it's literally a meeting for the person with a decision maker in the industry that they're trying to reach. So to go back to the automated tools that are out there, there's definitely a place and there's a need for them. But I'm very conscious of what's happening on the receiving side and what's going on out there. So I think to talk to that, LinkedIn is the platform that's the enabler, like I mentioned before. But we've also got to look at what's working out there and what the customers and the market needs. And right now, what the market is very desperate and thirsty for is the human interaction. So I honestly believe that just the good old-fashioned way of connecting with people and picking up a telephone is working really well now. So LinkedIn is a great platform to leverage your brand and personalize yourself and get your marketing and your brand out there and get the brand awareness going and create this brand advocacy within your organization. But at the end of the day, if you have the opportunity to find the people that you want to find and speak with via LinkedIn, but if you can pick up the phone and phone them, then that's first prize. That's absolute gold. So that's what's working right now.
And I think it's about qualifying those leads and absolutely getting them onto a call. What I use Sales Navigator, because you're able to then go through. So you can use the Sales Navigator to find your leads, but then personally go through those profiles and doing your due diligence and connecting authentically, and then setting up meetings and qualifying people that way. And I think there must be a good way in terms of the messaging. Do you have any tips for us? What tips do you use when you're messaging people? Do you kind of build up that relationship before you talk about anything that you're offering, but you're really more interested in the other person than what you have to offer?
Yeah. I believe that in any business relationship, it's got to be a win-win. So, and it's about give and take. So you now wanting to connect with this person, it's totally cold. You don't know who this individual is, but you're now wanting them to engage with either yourself or somebody, in my case, that I'm managing, the profile that I'm managing, my client. So how are you going to create that relationship virtually? And I think that's really what's key here, is to simulate what we would have done in the good old days. So in the good old days, when I say that, the good old days 2 years ago, we would have met somebody for a coffee or gone out for lunch with them or met them at a networking event. And nowadays, that's not necessarily possible because a lot of people are working in a hybrid mode. But also we've got this great opportunity where we can do business anywhere in the world. So you can be doing business from South Africa with anyone in the US or in the UK or in Europe or wherever the case may be. And there are definitely ways of creating those relationships. So the first thing that I always suggest is, how are we going to add value to this person's life? And what can we give them that shows that, first of all, we understand their pain? And I mean, LinkedIn is this fantastic tool. As you say, Robyn, sales navigators there. And that adds a whole different element. But there's so much you can do with just the standard unpaid version of LinkedIn. And what I mean by that is, you can actually find the person and have a look at their profile and see what it is that they are interested in and what they like and do.
Yeah.
And then use that opportunity to understand them and go back to them and say, I see that you are interested in these organizations, or these are the people that you're interested in or that you know, and I know them too, and can we connect, or whatever the case may be. But always about showing them that you've taken your time to do the pre-call planning, but also you then have the opportunity to give them something that would be relevant to them, whatever it is that you do.
Yeah.
So it could be a white paper, it could be a 30-minute demonstration of whatever it is that you do. It could be a proof of concept. There are various things, but it's about understanding them first and then giving them something that you think would help them.
Absolutely. I mean, it does remind me of a time when I was very, very actively researching on LinkedIn to grow my Sims online work. And one thing one needs to remember is that if you have a solution to help somebody, it's our responsibility to get that solution in front of that person. So, for example, this particular therapist lives in a tiny village in New Mexico with 20,000 people in the village. And he was treating a patient who he worked at like a fun park. And, with those like merry-go-rounds and things, and his arm got caught and he was severely crushed in this injury. And at this point, this therapist was researching and struggling because he didn't know how to treat him. But through Sales Navigator, he had come up as a lead, and I started to engage with him. And he said what was so incredible was that he had been on my website, he had been looking at the chapter and the journal articles I'd written. And the next thing, I popped in his inbox, and he said he just couldn't believe it. And we got on a call, and I ended up working with him one-on-one with that patient. And it always warms my heart to think that if we do take the time to find those leads that become professionals, you are impacting many, many lives.
Absolutely. I think that,
But the one point I think, sorry to interrupt you, but the one point I think one needs to do that as well is a team. I really feel that if you have a good team in your corner helping you to do that, and yet you are still 100% involved in that process, because nobody knows your business like you do. Nobody knows your clientele like you do, or your potential clients. That can really just take you to, 3, 4, 5xing your business. So any tips on growing a team? Because you must have grown a team to help you to help so many people, because it's a lot of time.
Absolutely. It's a lot of time, and it's the human input that, as I say, I believe is important. So in terms of growing the team, well, it depends on what the team is and what they need to do and what sort of support you're looking for your business. But in my world, it's a sales and marketing element that I need. And the big thing for me is finding people who've had the experience in the business world. So typically, the people that I bring on board onto my team have the experience where they've sat in board meetings or had face-to-face meetings and understood what those dynamics and innuendos are. So that's just, for me, what's important. So it's finding the person or the people that have walked those journeys, and in my case, walked those corridors in life, so that when they reach out to prospects and other clients out there for me, they understand what those values are that they're bringing to them, because they've walked in their shoes typically. So the other thing in my world is finding people who can self-manage. And I think that's very important in the world we live. people who can self-manage, but also who are self-motivated. So my team all work remotely, and I'm very much about giving them the space to grow and learn, but also about not micromanaging them. So in this hybrid world that we're in, and a lot of cases people are working virtually, people need to just get on with it and be mature enough to do their job and add value. But I think it's also important to do regular check-ins. I do regular check-ins with my team so that if any of us have got any challenges, we share, but also be authentic. I think that authenticity is really, really important. So when we meet virtually, we generally have 2 minutes of what I call what's your 5%, and we talk about something that's maybe happening in our lives, the 5% that you don't normally talk about or you wouldn't share normally in a business world, because that just clears there, and it's opening up that space for people to be authentic and real. People are still having challenges out there, and in some cases even more challenges because they don't have the support structures in place. So I think when you pick your team, find the people that are going to be in your corner, but also give them the support and what they need, the tools that they need to grow. And for me, it's always about growing my own team. In terms of enabling people, I also am about enabling my clients' teams. So if I come across or identify anybody in my client's team that I think has the capacity or the skills to take on some of the work that I do for my clients, I'm very much about training them up and giving those skills to them, handing skills over. And that's how we can all support each other is finding where those gaps are, but also finding the people who we think we can grow and believe in and give them those skills to do so.
Absolutely. That's all great advice. So with regards to your lecture, what are you going to be teaching us at the summit?
So it's what I call my LinkedIn masterclass. I've actually become known as the LinkedIn lady, and I don't know if I really like the term or not, but that's kind of what I've been known as. So I'm going to deliver a masterclass, which is going to show people within an hour how to optimize their profiles, how to speed them up and sweep them up so that they look good. And so I'm going to cover the basic things that they need to put in place. I'm also going to go behind the scenes in terms of some of the settings on their profile that can be tweaked and changed to optimize their profiles so that they come up higher in search engine feeds. And then once we've done the setup and the cosmetic stuff on their profile, I'm going to share the tools and the really salient points that I've learned in my business that the people who are attending my masterclass will be able to take home and take away for them to grow their businesses. So I'm going to give them the really hard-hitting points as well as the tools that I've learned and some of the tricks that I've learned that will help them optimize their profile, but at the end of the day, grow their business and create that brand advocacy within their team and their world.
Amazing. So not only do you run this team, you also teach people how to.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. And you are actually sponsoring a prize at the summit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. So whoever wins the prize is going to have a 2-hour session with me, one-on-one training, where I'll go over your profile, but also show you what to do to optimize and update your profile. And then I'll handhold and help you to search and find the targeted industries that you are looking for, as well as develop a value proposition with you to understand what we're going to say to your clients or to your prospects so that we open that door for you and get you that foot or the wedge in the door that you are hopefully looking for.
That is priceless. Amazing. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity, and enjoy the rest of the summit, and great to connect. Thank you for this time.
Thanks,
Robyn.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.